Hey folks, this is bflybricks, and in today's video, this is St James's Park, the stadium of Premier League football team Newcastle United. It is of course in micro scale, but it's still quite big for a micro mock at 30 studs long by 22 wide, and it's just over 9 bricks tall in height. And I feel at this scale you can still keep it small, but I can feature all the key details that define this stadium. I also included part of the residential street here. This is Lees's Terrace across from the East Stand, and I've got some cars in traffic here on Strawberry Place. The stadium has some key features like these two round sections behind the Lees's Stand, and all along this section are these tall structures with a round glass atrium in the middle of the Milburn Stand. I'm sure if you're watching this then you'll be familiar with the grounds. And I want to be accurate and get a good likeness, so here are some of the images I used from Google and Bing and all that kind of thing to get that right. And the standout feature for me is the Milburn and Lees's Stand. I didn't actually know that it is in fact the largest cantilever structure in Europe at 64.5 metres, which is huge, and it dominates the stadium. And inside that section, it might not be obvious at first, but the seats are actually black, and it's quite a distinctive look. From this map, you can see just how dominant that stand is and how small the East Stand is. So I hope now you've had a refresh of how the stadium looks in real life, you can perhaps see just how close I got my mock to the real thing. Although, as ever, there are slight limitations with Lego parts, and there are decisions to make on colours of bricks and parts to use. But I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I did also check online in case anyone else had done this before, and I found this amazing mock by a chap called Steve. I believe he lives near Newcastle and has some other fantastic mocks of landmarks and stadiums from this area of England. His site is brickthis.com. And I have had a really good look at his mock and pretty much deliberately decided to use completely different building techniques. I've also made my mock at around twice the size, so my scale is much bigger. He did a great job, but like I said, I'm at a different scale and therefore I'm able to add much more detail, and that of course is not a criticism of Steve's mock. I've just approached mine in a different way. One of the best things about his sets though is the printed pitch and the sign that says St James's Park. That's a really nice detail. At this angle, I'm sure you can appreciate the depth I've created in the Milburn and Lees's Stand on the right. For the roof, I've used 2x6 white tiles above trans clear window pieces for the canopy. Inside, there's a mixture of black wedges and slopes with a white corner piece. For the roof, I used white tiles rather than just trans clear pieces, as in many photographs of the stadium, it really does appear to be white. I know it's not, I know it's glass and painted white steel pylons, but it really does look very white, so I went with white tiles. Really liked adding the houses along the street. It does kinda hide the East Stand, but I like how this looks. The rooftop here is interesting with those grey trusses, as you can see here. I think I got the look of this pretty good. At this end, the Gallowgate Stand, it has this glass bit in the middle, a wedge-shaped rooftop, and on the corner is a statue of Bobby Robson. So I tried to include all that, and I think this is quite successful. Further round in the Milburn Stand, it has this curved glass atrium in the middle, and I used trans clear discs stacked up here, held by a modified plate, and it's flanked along the side by some studs on side building. And I reckon this has turned out looking pretty accurate, especially at this scale. The curved corner is easily done with some hinges and some stacked radar dishes for those round sections at the end either side. The rooftop has loads of linear trusses that curve around one end, and I've done much the same with those white poles. And as I mentioned earlier, this has trans clear window pieces built into the underside, and it means the rooftop is really strong. A closer look inside the seating area, I actually saw my first ever football game on the 18th of June in 1996. It was during the Euros and we saw France beat Bulgaria 3-1 and we sat in this section, although it did look a bit different then. It was amazing though, a great atmosphere, and it felt incredibly steep. I was genuinely afraid I might fall forward. At street level, when you look up here, it is megalithic. It seems just giant. And well, it is. It is the 10th biggest stadium in the UK with a capacity over 52,000, so it is pretty massive. And I think I've been successful in conveying its size here. A cool feature I incorporated into this was the grey trusses on the east stand. I actually did this using droid arms and grey grills, which I think works really well to get that shape and the look of metalwork. But you know, the bulk of the stadium is simple though. Those curved bricks with curved plates on top, slopes for seating, and simple studs not on top builds alongside regular building techniques for the rooftop. And for the houses, I used a lot of those triangular bricks for the rooftops. In the past, I have made Liverpool Stadium and Celtic Park, which I only realised once I'd finished this that, well, they're too small because they're actually both larger than St James Park in real life. But hey, you know what? I'm not that fussed. It's only slightly out of scale and I'm really happy with how St James Park turned out. I have always wanted to do this at micro scale, and it took around 2 days to build and a big order from Brick Owl for those white pole pieces which you need a lot of when you build micro stadiums in particular. When I display this at conventions this year, I will be putting some Newcastle logos on the exterior, so next time I do a stadium in future, I'll show you the updated version of this. Anyways, thanks so much for watching until the end, and if you are a Newcastle United fan, I hope I've done the stadium justice and that you recognise all the wee details. Subscribe to the channel and please do give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!